he's talking to himself on the raid, fucking back to the hotel, and he's like, I don't know if he's going to be able to perform or not, man. He's like, he's just sitting there, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey,
showtime.
Mike and Chris, it's showtime. He's about to flip the switch, man. He became
we're live.
Chris Kattan. Oh, you're live.
We're live. Yeah, that's all right. We love Chris Kattan. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. Good old Chris.
Oh, good. Let's get this going. Cancel culture. You want to stick around?
Is today cancel culture?
Yeah.
What's the matter with you?
Talk about cancel.
Welcome back to 21.6 The Net. This is Bridging Civil Tension, where, we feel it's better to... I just did a hard stop. I didn't fade that out. It was like... You know what?
Killed
our music.
This is where we feel, bridging civil tension. We're going to cover some edgy topics that might make some people uncomfortable, but we feel it's better to have a conversation, build a bridge, than it is to blow one up. Like I did on the last show, really got some people riled up.
What did you do?
It was good. It was
pushing buttons.
Yeah, it was fun. No, just defending some.
He
perhaps.
said there were buttons, and I was Buddy the Elf. Pushed all of them
Oh, a Christmas tree, which is great. Of course, he's Phil Wallace, entrepreneur, author, coach, mentor, just all around good guy. And
Thanks,
he's got his relay low step here today. Is that
learn to sew? But this is the breast cancer.
This is the breast cancer awareness.
Thank you to Hyperstitch and Miss Ritter. Appreciate you so much. Love you guys. Sarah, love you guys.
They do great work over there in Marengo. And of course, I'm Kent. So
international man of mystery. Come on, Swab.
I tell you what, I'm so
late
tired.
Night tacos. You are on the air with Ken Jones, ladies and gentlemen.
But what we want to do is we want to attack. We want to address some issues that are out there that rile people up and have caused some civil maybe unrest.
Unrest,
right? And of course, today you said cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
What is it?
It's been interesting to watch, and I see there's times where it makes sense, and there's some times, and maybe just from my personal perspective, where it doesn't as much. And I'm watching what people are being canceled for, and then I'm watching the standard what is allowed to continue.
Okay.
And I'm watching it sway, and just want to figure out why that is.
Give me an idea. What's a good thing that's been canceled?
Well, as far as like after we talking about this in the green room, they're trying to cancel the Chappelle's special. They want
new special.
They want to take it off of Netflix and completely have it down because certain things were said were offensive. And then we watched the past couple of years how many offensive things were said that we're allowed to say because we have a country of freedom of speech. And so you just kind of get to wondering, why in certain situations do we have these rights? In other situations, in the realm of comedy itself, where that's supposed to be the outlet, are those freedoms not so much pushed?
Okay. And then what's one that you have enjoyed that it's canceled?
That I've enjoyed that it's canceled. I think it's for like the backlash up the street.
Okay.
Right, the backlash up the street where you have your car dealership and you're going to use that platform to say certain things that I felt at the time were unnecessary. Yep. And what was said at that time, if you remember, was this is this guy's place of business.
Yep.
He can post what he wants to. That's his right.
Right.
Okay, cool.
So we've become a culture that's replaced the word censorship because we're America and it's free.
Right.
To now say cancel culture.
Right.
Right. So here's an interesting thing. I talked a little bit earlier about this morning, and I'm gonna put it over on y'all. Is Everything that had the world up in arms, this nation up in arms last year, has been canceled. Everything. Where's it gone? Why isn't it still in the forefront of the news? It's gone. We'll just set it over here for now.
Right. Place it over here.
And when we need it, maybe we'll put it back off. Right. So in the world of cancel culture, a lot of things that were making noise last year, and getting people to question and act and react, have now been quote unquote canceled. Because we really don't have a use for it anymore. We'll pull you back off the shelf when we need you. And one thing in particular is this. We heard all the arguments last year about Roe versus Wade. And every time there seems to be an election, we argue all year about Roe versus Wade. And then we cancel it.
Put it back.
Right?
Until the next time we need it. And we joke about this all the time when we're talking about run motion. Right? Yeah. There's certain plays that appear to be ran at certain times because we know we're going to get a layup.
That's it.
There's going to be conflict. There's going to be strife. There's going to be division.
Exactly.
Run the motion again.
Right.
Take it from the top.
I think, I don't like the term cancel culture, right? Because things are canceled all the time. I mean, and for good reason. We grow, we learn, we move, right? However, when you're talking about a comedian, right?
Great comedian.
And let's take a look at a great sitcom, Friends, or take a look at a great sitcom, Seinfeld, that ran for years and years and years, and it's no longer on the air. Why? If you go back and watch some of those shows, you're like, what?
Right.
Yeah. Now, it was funny. They were written well. They were funny. They were great actors. But to your point, Chappelle's Show, and I haven't seen it yet. You have. But what I've heard is it's brilliant, old school comedic act that makes fun of everything.
Right.
And gets you to laugh about everything.
If you watch his style, he educates, he teaches, he talks about history, he talks about present day events. And if you know him at all, like me and you have joked on black, white, old, young,
we were in
big,
we were in the ICU once, just
cracking jokes, right?
Anything.
So funny, he split a kidney.
Hey.
But okay, so even that right there, is that offensive? Does Andrew not know that we love him?
Right.
All of a sudden, I don't. All of a sudden, I don't like
the opinions of this show. Do not do not reflect.
But all of a sudden, I don't like white male coaches because I just said a joke about my friend who I love. If you pay attention to this dude at all, you see he genuinely loves everybody. And part of the stand-up, he talks about how he befriended a comedian who was white lady transgender person who he allowed, even though she'd only done 8 acts, to open a set for him.
Yeah, hey.
One of the greatest comedians of all time, just and befriended.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how do I say this? I don't, in this particular situation, I wonder if it's more offended of the things that he said, or not liking, once again, a minority speaking truth. Because if you watch the other part of his stand-up, he shines light on a lot of things that are covered up.
Yeah.
And he talks about a lot of things that people don't want to answer. And he talks about how in those situations, we'll get you to shut. He jokes about it. And I had the whites on the ropes. And then they changed the rules. And he goes, now, because this is a play they could run, now I have to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
So then it makes me think, is it because what he said was offensive, even though he's openly for years made fun of everybody equally the same, which is always reminded people like you talked about. Don Rickles could get away with absurd things that he would say because that it wasn't
he
just
roasted
him.
The president of the United States, literally.
But just as equally as he roasted Sammy Davis
That's
Jr.
correct.
or Red Fox or any other African American comedian, and it was just the love and the joke amongst them as comedians.
It was quick, it was witty, it made you laugh.
And so in certain situations, me and like you can joke about African Americans with me,
Yeah.
suggestingly off the air, because I know that you love Phil Wallace.
Right.
Now, there's people who will make comments where you tell they don't really care about you or your kind, and they're just trying to get away with saying some slick stuff.
Right.
That's not the case.
Right.
And so we'll defend people who are saying something that don't have any history or paper trail of sentiments towards this community.
So it goes, yeah. So the cancel culture comes down to this: I don't like the way you think or said something, so I need to cancel it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with it, so I need this canceled because I don't agree with it.
Right.
And I'm going to try to persuade you to agree with me.
Right.
And so the cancel, so people are saying, oh, you can't knock down statues because that's cancel culture. You're canceling history. No, not necessarily, especially when that was put up in 1986.
Right.
A
little different.
And we've lost the ability as a species.
Right.
We've lost an ability to value your opinion, and by valuing your opinion, I mean good that you think.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think the same way I do, but good that you think, and thanks for your opinion.
Absolutely.
Instead, I go, you're wrong. You need to think like I do, and it needs to be the way I want it to be. We've all become spoiled brats. Right. So when we're talking about cancel culture, I think we're trying to. It's not canceling. It's literally I want to muzzle that. I want to. You know what I mean? And that's the. Listen, if you don't like the Chappelle stand-up comedian, don't watch it. Don't listen to it.
He literally says that in like his third one. You clicked on my face.
Right.
You chose to come here.
Right.
Knowing how I talk.
Listen, we're blessed. We're blessed that over 750,000 people tune in to Bridging Civil Tension.
We love every single one of you.
We absolutely love you, and hopefully that you guys won't cancel us. But
please don't.
But here again is the issue is I offended a few people. Big whoopee do. I mean,
he said, "I hope that offends you too."
Yeah, he's a comedian. He gets paid well, and if you understand him, he's not a vulgar dumb. This man is brilliant. He's educated. He's well thought out.
Right.
He's always walked his own path. I mean, he
always.
I mean, you're talking about a person who, Phil, at one point was offered a buttload of money,
$50 million,
that at that time and in that era was unheard of, and he walked away.
Yeah, he talked on that yesterday.
He walked away, and people are like, "Oh, what the? He's gone crazy. He's nuts." He had standards, folks. And he wasn't selling out.
And he wasn't going to sell out. And he talked about if that's something that you believe in, you have to be willing to walk away from certain situations in order to show that you're serious about
it. I mean, that was back in the early 2000s. That money was unheard of. And at the time, his show was the funniest thing.
There's nothing touching
the funniest thing on air.
And that's where I don't understand, because like, okay, if you watch him historically, and okay, you watch the last 4 stand-ups, and you feel that that's all that he talked about. Understand it is he's taken time where he just joked on blacks, where he joked with Hispanics too, where he talked about everything. It's not just one side that he's against.
No. I mean,
he's an equal opportunity offender.
He is, and that shouldn't be. That should be encouraged. That shouldn't be canceled.
But I think there's this one part that he talks about, and he talks about the recording artist, DaBaby. I don't know if you know anything. At one of his shows, DaBaby said some offensive things about that community, and there's no justifying what he said. He said some pretty harsh things. But Chappelle talked about how in 2019, DaBaby shot and killed a guy. in a Greensboro Walmart, and he goes Google it. This is a real story. He was able to shoot and kill an individual. So he kind of pauses and he goes, so he shot and killed an African American. And he goes, you see where I'm going with this? In our country, he goes, nothing happened to his career. He said, we live in a country where you can shoot and kill an individual if he's black. Nothing happens to you. But if you hurt the feelings of someone over here, they want to cancel you, take everything away from you. And I understand how if that's all that you've heard of Chappelle, that might be offensive to you. And there's people who are holding on to that aspect, and that's what they're getting offended by. But no one's saying, why is that true in this country?
Right. Yeah. And yeah, Tobin says it absolutely. He says just what we were saying. Cancel culture is the culture of working to destroy those who have different opinions.
Right.
It's calling of boycotting, i.e. Chick-fil-A, because they have Christian principles. Yep. And it offended a group of people. And yeah, and at some point we have to just go, something wrong with that.
Something wrong with that. But no one wants to say, is what he's saying true? Because he did kill an individual who was African-American descent and nothing happened to him. But if he says something that hurts your feelings, we want to completely take him off the stage. Why is it okay? And he had another special where he talked about how.
And I don't know if it's okay. So let's hold there for a second.
All right.
I didn't know that. I don't know that story. Right.
But
because I don't listen to that particular guy. However, now, because of social media, when it's not offline, that
was fun.
Hey, he said something about this group of people, and now it blows up on social media, and it comes across my feed,
right?
And that's all I hear. So that's all I know of this guy. He's got to go away. I don't know that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. If you don't, you didn't watch Chappelle
no, I haven't seen his latest one.
No, I'm saying, are you saying in the aspect of I haven't heard of this Chappelle? I haven't watched any Chappelle stuff.
No, this little baby guy,
yeah,
right. Whatever it is. So
there's so many of them,
right? Truly. So the idea is is now it comes across my feed. This is something that I believe strongly in, and now I think you need to be canceled because of the way you speak. But I don't know that you murdered somebody. I wouldn't be okay with you murdering somebody, but at the same time, I wasn't a fan. But now I think you're a bigger idiot,
right?
Because you're picking on my people, right? So to push it to that point where we might say, hey man, it's okay to kill a black, doesn't do it. Well, that's on his fans, right?
Which are a lot of. He was one of the number one. Chappelle talked about how he was one of the number one streaming artists, which means a lot of people liked him of all colors.
Well, yeah.
And it's very, very known, and the story was not he's posted talking about it in interviews, posted about it on his Instagram. So if you follow this artist, you know it,
right? But of that, how many are in that segment that he
offended?
You offended,
right?
I mean, you killed somebody. That's pretty offensive. Right? So we appreciate all the rednecks joining us, Nate.
My favorite country star, Morgan Wallen.
Yeah, I don't know Morgan.
This one escapes me. Who is this?
Yeah, see, I don't know that. I don't even know a song that Morgan.
Facebook me his favorite songs though. I'm building my country playlist.
There you go.
I want to be well rounded.
That's right. So and you're going to have to fill us in, Nate, of course, on that. I'm unfamiliar with that too, but yeah. So the idea is I think we've slipped into it. We've slipped into an area where right is wrong, and wrong is wrong, and right.
But wrong can be compromised.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wrong can be swayed.
It's blurred.
Yeah.
Right. And that's because a lot of times, when I was growing up, and there Tobin's grew up the same era that I did. You're a bit younger, but if we were talking in the hall and you had a different opinion than me, I'd go, that's fucked up, and walk away. Right. But now it's like I gotta blast it out. Oh my God! Look what Phil said. Look what Phil said about fat bald guys in their 50s. We got to get him off of 21
That's
6
a
than
long
that.
conversation. Speaking of jokes,
next on Dateline. But right, so now it's like we got to cancel the bridging civil tension because he made fun of fat balding white guys, and da da da. You know, so it's like
you must not like him. But did you guys not notice that his co-host? Not
if I were to stand up, you'd see.
It's sexy. It's not a six pack. It's a keg.
I've
drink up, ladies.
I've surpassed
Drink
the dad bod. I went into dad's bods. And I got an 8 head. So there you go. Not a 4 head. We got an 8 head. Just it was all the way back.
That's okay.
But so how do you so it upsets you now a little bit, right? So they want to cancel this. You're a fan of his, and now cancel culture seems a little bit. We've taken this a little too far.
No, it more so kind of going along the lines of what he talked about in the stand-up is you watch, like we just talked about, that line of what's wrong be swayed. And we watch it be compromised, and we watch it when it's convenient that we can say, and he said this in one of his other stand-ups where he's like, why can I say this word degrading black people openly on Chappelle's show, but I can't say this word because it would offend other people. And he's talking about just this standard of what we're allowed to do and the roles that we're allowed to put people in, but we can't hurt feelings or say anything or even say truth, anything. We've had things taken off of the air because we mentioned a shot.
I can kick around the word hunky all day long, but I can't drop the N word.
No. But as far as right. You can't, because then I'm gonna have to put hands on you.
Right.
But what he's saying is I'm allowed to say that word.
Right.
But I can't say anything about that group, but I can put down
my own.
And it's allowed that on television you can say the N-word.
That's society. It's allowed in society.
And he's like, well, if we can't say things that degrade people, then we shouldn't be able to say this word either on the air.
Yeah. So Nate says, definitely look into that story. He was having a party with friends at his house, and he made a comment to a friend leaving, and his neighbor hated him and caught it on video and sent it to social media just to try to ruin the guy's life. Definitely a story that has mixed feelings. Yeah, Morgan Wallen. We'll look into that. And here's the brilliant thing, and I want people to understand this. I want people to understand this. What makes shit funny is reality.
Right.
That's where you go, oh, shit. Yeah, that's true. Right? I mean, that's what makes it funny. That's what comedy is. So, yes, if there is some truth in there, then it's brilliant.
It's a good spin.
You're not going to become a multi-millionaire. Knock, who's there? Betty, Betty didn't, whatever. You're not making it on knock jokes because there's not a lot of reality in it, right?
The only person with a clean act that actually make it is Jim Brewer. He was hilarious.
Well,
but he wouldn't do no knock jokes.
No.
He was still talking about kangaroos and whales.
Yeah. And that's the idea of the cancel culture. Now, Tobin brings up, when Rush Limbaugh was announcing football, I forgot that he had done that, and he kind of was honest on a half-rate quarterback, and was prevented from purchasing, part of the St. Louis Rams because of the same. That company has sponsors, and they're in it to make money. So that's why you see a lot of announcers come and go, or work or don't work. Jimmy the Greek, he got let go because he gambled. Well, he would show up and give odds on everything. What made you think he wouldn't gamble? And I don't know if he said something racist or not, but when it's your product, you can say you're not fitting the product. You stepped out of the bounds. Thank you very much. Contract voided. So I mean, but he went on to have a brilliant radio career that had had a lot of edge to it. So there you go. Right?
It's just interesting, like for situations like that. Obviously, the Colin Kaepernick situation, the kneeling got him kicked out of the league.
Yep.
And things that are offensive to other groups, and we'll openly talk about how the things government has said or done, both sides, that are offensive. No one's canceling the aspect of the way that we have it set up with the 2-party policy, and actually get to another third, fourth, fifth, so that
The
we
way
don't
the
have
Constitution
just
was originally written was
the
for
lesser of two-
multi-parties.
lesser of two evils that we have to choose from.
Yeah.
We're still not canceling. We don't cancel bad guys.
A lot of times, no.
We cancel heroes that tell truth.
Well,
in certain situations.
as a matter of fact, to that point, there's a huge auction going on tonight or tomorrow that's auctioning off Scarface, it's Al Capone stuff. Here's a bad guy.
There's a bad guy. There's a bad guy.
But
we just
millions of dollars from his estate is gonna to whoever owns the estate or whatever. I will guarantee you, because there are people like, oh, that was Al Capone's lighter. Oh, I'll take
But here's my thing.
2.5
Here's my thing. We don't want to glorify. Hold on. I'll say it like this.
Yeah.
We will auction off and make millions off of Al Capone's estate.
Mhm.
We can't put up a George Floyd statue because we don't want to support felons and make heroes out of bad guys.
Well, I get it. Well, maybe. I mean, maybe, you know, I don't know when Al Capone died, back in the 20s or something. So 100 years later, maybe George Floyd will. You know, maybe they'll get his tennis shoes. I don't know what he was wearing that day.
You think they're going to do a George Floyd shoe for $1 million?
I don't know.
Kid,
Hey,
come on, man.
Listen.
Come on.
When Capone went down, they were saying the same thing about the lighter that it's going to sell for $1.5 million or whatever tonight, right?
That's crazy.
They were saying the same thing. That guy killed too many people. He's
It's just when we're watching from the outside looking in, I hear people say that we don't support bad people, and I watch people get rich off of the Capone film.
Right. Yeah, people keep trying to cancel Kid Rock, and I find that funny. Like, did Kid Rock say something that offended you? Do they realize who he is? Yeah, well, he said a lot of things offend
lots of things that are offensive. Even Stone Cold Steve Austin was one of my favorite wrestlers, and I know he says horrible things about other people, but that's just who he is.
That's Austin 316.
That's Austin, and that's the bottom line,
right?
Because Stone Cold said so.
That's because Stone Cold said so. That's right. I follow a lot of those wrestlers on TikTok. They're old, retired. It's wonderful.
Man,
That's
but
wonderful.
you knew that product. So if Stone Cold said something, I'm like, oh my God, I was watching this wrestling thing on WWE, and I can't believe out of nowhere, this Stone Cold guy flipped off the camera.
Right.
Yes, multiple times and chugged a beer after he did it.
That's right. Well, and I don't know why I spent hours just watching grown men run around in Speedos.
I was from Florida. What's your excuse? I was from Florida.
I was just like, man, look at that muscly guy in his Speedo running around, hitting the other guy.
High class living where I'm from.
Man, I don't know. That was wonderful.
Well, you're in Wonder Lake, so it's not far off.
Not too far off.
I'm not getting canceled in Wonder Lake.
And now there's people who want to cancel it too. I mean, they're pushing back against All-Star Wrestling a lot too.
Against wrestling,
so it's interesting. It's okay to be upset by something. It's okay that somebody else has a different opinion of you or from you. Doesn't mean we have to cancel that person, right? It means we have to listen and then think about, well, it's interesting you say that. I think you're full of shit, but interesting that you say that.
Right.
And I'll think about that for a little while. Yeah. Right. And then we may come back and, we'll never be brought up again because I thought about it and I know where you stand. And sometimes it may go, well, Phil, you know what? Last time we were together, you had mentioned this. I thought about that and this.
We've talked about other social media personalities that say things that we may not approve of or go alongside of. And I've never asked for her to be canceled.
Right.
She gives material I can say, this is the faults in what was said. Right. That's how I feel on that topic. I don't want her canceled. I don't want the twins canceled. I don't want Ben Carson canceled. I want them so someone can say something and then a dialogue can be had off of what they say.
Right. There's a pretty brilliant guy out there. What's his name? Ben Shapiro. I don't know if you've seen this guy. He's pretty brilliant. But he has a lot of conversations with the LGBTQ, LMNOP, whatever they are. We love them all, right?
Love every letter.
But he's pretty brilliant, and he has strong conversations with them on his stance. And I know there's a lot of people that want him canceled. Well, he's a brilliant guy, and just because he's a differing opinion, okay. I mean, there are people who still think that we put a man on the moon, right? So there are a lot of people who don't. Should we cancel that? Never happened.
Never happened.
Right? Never happened. Let's cancel that. Because I listen, you're insulting my intelligence to think that in 1969 you had cameras on the moon. You barely had black and white TV in 1969.
These are the thoughts of Ken Jones. Phil Wallace is chilling. Let the record show.
I'm just. That's all I'm saying, right? That there's that. So why should we cancel that? Because you disagree with it. Why hasn't it been canceled already? Then that's history.
It's history.
There's statues. I mean, there's a whole place down in Florida, right?
Right.
That's got stuff. It's got a moon rock. How the hell do you know it's a moon rock?
You just have to trust a certain group that you haven't been able to trust in any other situation. That's but right. On this particular one, you should trust them.
You should trust them. Right. So I think it's censorship. I don't think it's canceling, and it's censorship because I don't agree with it, or a group doesn't agree with it. Not that it's wrong.
Sure.
It's just that
I don't agree with it, or we don't like that message being told.
Right. Right. So let's dive back into a year ago, like I said, and a lot of things have been canceled. Right. And there's going to be people who push back on me. Oh, the bull. No. I don't see the peaceful demonstrations going on today for blue lives or black or brown or whatever. That's kind of did everything just settle and we're good now? You got the people who were protesting got what they wanted. What happened? Right. And now all of a sudden, where'd it go? It's been canceled.
It's been canceled for the moment.
Right. And so we live in a constant society of cancel culture and comfort. And what do I need now? What do I need now? What do I need now?
Right.
Right. We don't. It's just crazy with what's happening. I read a headline, Phil, that said more people are getting the booster than got the original vaccine. Excuse me, what? How can that be? It's not a booster if you've never, if you don't have anything to boost, is it? I don't
know. A booster chair without the chair. Got it.
I don't know. Yeah, look at Tobin says Parker Penn sold a series of pens containing a piece of moon rock. It made millions. That's a big ass rock.
That's a big rock,
right? And I will. We're not going to jump into politics, right? On that, even though it is very tension filled. But there's with that, there's no right. You can never please anybody. There's no right. There's no wrong. Right? It's just.
You can't say the name one.
Right. And here's the whole crazy thing is, like we'll have Gary from Singapore on. Yeah. He joined some other shows, and we're a sitcom to a lot of the world. People tune in to the craziness here in America.
Oh yeah,
the craziness, and they're like, man, you guys tout yourself as the best nation in the world, the most free, blah 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 blah. People, why would anybody want to
laugh and suck?
Yeah,
But do you think it's because also they see the contradictions in the things that we say versus what we do?
Absolutely, that's the funny part. That's comedy.
So if people from across the water, even with the language barrier, understand the contradictions, then it's hard to understand the people in our own.
Right. So on the grounds this morning, we talked about when is the unbelievable believable.
Go on.
Right. So it was
first you had my curiosity, now you got my attention.
Right. So
DiCaprio, Django.
Okay, let's we'll use this. Your life didn't go offline. A social media platform did this week. Okay? I'm not going to say the name of the social media. But a whistleblower came out and said, ooh, we're really designed to be divisive. We're really designed to shame the female body, and that's our algorithms, and that is exactly our business model. Excuse me. Could you just, Phil? Could you just pull the plug over there for a little bit?
Yeah, someone shut her up, please.
All right. So, how is it so unbelievable that a nerd, okay, created an application because he couldn't talk to females, which has now blown up to over a $7 billion a day revenue stream for him, and all of a sudden go,
you know what?
What got out there? Unplug that for a little bit, get the shredders going, and run some giant magnets over some of these servers, okay? How are we looking? We're good? Let's plug it back in. It was a coding error. I'm a nerd. Right? So how can you not believe, or you understand what I'm saying?
If I ever catch you laughing like that, I will roast you. It's not because I don't like nerds.
Why?
It's just because you specifically need
Why would it be unbelievable for that to be true? Instead, we had Pete said, who works at the chamber, people were calling the chamber to ask how they could help get Facebook back up. My Facebook is down. What are you going to do about it? What?
Nothing, because I don't work for Facebook.
Okay. When does the unbelievable become believable? When there's enough of one story,
right,
from coast to coast, top to bottom, left to right, and then all of a sudden it's like, maybe that is believable,
right?
Maybe that does happen. When a comedian stands up
and says some things,
to get you to laugh and go, maybe that is believable, or is it believable when it's too late?
And that's what's happening.
Because
the thing I love about, and we keep bringing it back to him, the thing I love about, even despite the things they say about him that they're upset with, by the next time he has a special that comes out, he'll say, do you remember when I told you this?
That's correct.
You told me I was crazy. Did you see how this went? You might want to get on board. And then he's like, all right. We tried it another time. You remember when I said both of these things? And this last one, he really went through what he's been. It's like,
right.
You're proving me right. You're proving me right on these topics.
Right. And you have to laugh. And you're laughing because, number one, you're like, damn, he's right. But number two, it's funny. It's funny shit.
It's a creative way to, because he's not rioting.
Right.
He's not looting. He's not kneeling.
No.
He's telling you things that other people.
Did it go back to the cigarette, or is he vaping still?
He's vaping.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He did one in Austin where he had a cigarette, but he's more so vaping now, and he'll set up the joke, and then hit you with the punchline.
Yeah.
But he's telling you things that the country didn't want to listen to in any other approach. So if we can't march, if we can't loot, if we can't riot, if we can't kneel, if we can't whatever, if we can't create a movement. All right, what if I make you laugh?
That's it.
Maybe if I make you laugh, part of it will say when he's talking about, I know brothers in Brooklyn that wear high heels just to feel safe. He's letting you know. Right. That's creative. That's creative. But what he's saying is, hey, listen, people are getting killed at such an alarming rate. This is how we have to feel safe, because it looks in this country like we appreciate this life more than this life that's not even allowed to matter.
That's right.
He's just saying it with a funny punchline. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and
we still have a problem with
it. And that's where we talked about, we had to learn some African American history through a food documentary. Right?
Right.
Why do we have to go through food? Why can't we just do this documentary?
Why is that? Because we can offend blatantly and boldly, but we have to educate and code. We have to be very cryptic on things that we shine light on. If you're a minority, we're not allowed to just say things or do things with the same approach has been done towards you. So we have to do things through comic delivery or food shows.
Yeah.
In order to educate.
Yeah. And Tobin, the serious question, he says, hey, there's been a lot of shootings, 11-year-old, 5-year-old, 7, there's 52 shootings in Chicago. Best thing I can say for that is is tune in on Thursday nights to the Bare Facts on Guns. We cover a lot of that good stuff right there.
We do.
On the Bare Facts of Guns. Both victims and shooters were the same race. Nobody saw anything, even with a lot of people there.
Yeah, and some similar to child abduction, which is
Correct.
which is significantly higher in numbers, and most of those races are the same colors. But I don't really ever see you speak on that. But yeah, in those situations where children are abducted at exponentially higher ratio, and the races are the same color, and some of the things that he says then is, why don't we speak on that? And he says, because of who the fingers will be pointed at. So if you want to give us some research on those numbers too, we'd be glad to talk about that versus just always killing in Chicago.
Well, yeah, and in those areas, you ought not say anything, or you're next.
Well,
I mean,
at the same time, most of us
saw nothing.
Most of us saw the Epstein thing. A lot of people don't say anything there either because of what could happen to you. You might commit in prison with guards watching if you're in that world, and you tell people that, hey, the person who actually abducted all these children was the person who's the VP or the captain of or this.
Right.
But we'll act like when you don't snitch on this side, it's somehow different than people who don't snitch on this side, even though these people are killing way more kids than anyone on this side. But these people are brown. These people are a different shade, whatever they may be. So we'll talk about this when we'll talk about this.
Pink for breast cancer awareness.
Huh?
Maybe they're pink for breast cancer awareness.
They get warm.
Right. So that question is discussed because of gun control and things like that. So the Bare Facts on Guns Thursday nights at 6. Great show. I would tune in to.
Derek, right?
Yeah, Derek Barry. Yeah. Really good stuff.
People. So
what we've chosen to do in a lot of cases as well is we've chosen to blame an inanimate object, right? So if I were to play off of that a little bit, this grenade right here, and it's empty.
I was like, you casually had me beside a grenade.
Yeah, here.
I can't get a heads. Hey, Phil, just so you know, don't
bridge this.
Don't hit the desk.
Let's bridge this, bro.
There's a chance that if you punch the desk hard enough,
right? So this grenade can't do anything by itself. It's an inanimate object. Is that fair to say? And so instead of saying, wow, there's some really messed up people in some areas in this country, and things are really, really bad. Let's, instead of saying, how do we help those people? Let's make it the fault of an inanimate object. Right. And then when we don't want to make we'll then say, it's Chicago. It happens every weekend, man.
Right.
It's same race on same race. Hey, it is what it is, and follow the money. Always follow the money. Follow real estate. Trust me. I mean, we've created our own.
We'll make it sound worse, so that way when we tear down the buildings and put our own, no one really pays attention because no one really cares about it. We'll just highlight that stuff and not say the whole story. That makes sense.
So there are.
But my thing is, again, what I'm saying is, we'll keep talking about that, but we won't talk about exponentially higher.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my daughter was in a college town last night and got her car towed. Right. I get a call at quarter to 12, and Dad, she's in tears, she's freaking out, and she's 19. So you've got this 19-year-old white girl in a college town, and we find out who the tow company was. They sharked her, right? They watched her get out of her car, and she went upstairs to get her where she was staying with her friend to get the tag to put on the car for the night.
Right.
And when they come back, 10 minutes later, car gone. Right. So she got sharked. Yeah, she got sharked. Right. Now, here's the funny thing. I've told my daughters, I'm like, if you're in a college town, you never go anywhere by yourself. Ever go anywhere by yourself. This tow truck company says, yeah, it's $200 cash. Come alone.
Yeah, that's creepy.
And I go, they said, what? We get on the phone with those people. Oh yeah, no, it's after hours. We can't have 2 or 3 girls in it. Crazy people, friends, young people. And I'm like, listen. Do you understand that this is how children disappear?
Right.
And you're asking, and I go, I'm going to guess that your lot is probably not on the north side. It's not in a good neighborhood because they never are.
Right.
And you're going to ask a young female to come someplace alone. They're not going to happen. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to allow her friend to come in with her, or we'll have the police there who will escort her in.
And that's what's going to happen.
And that's what's going to happen.
I've worked for a repo company. It's not the most high profile individuals who work for these companies in a lot of situations. Why would they make that rule?
I don't know.
And they got guard dogs, they got cameras, they got probably weapons. So what
right
for a 19-year-old college girl is a threat to them.
Right. So that's what I said. So I was like, listen, so this is how it's going to work. And, we've got the police on the other line. So you let them, and the police are like, oh yeah, no, they sharked her. They were waiting for her to get out of her car. That's what they do. That's what this company does. Nothing we can do. Right. So I end up paying $200, but here's the whole thing is, yes, it was greasy old white people who were running that place. My daughter said,
right.
And that's how trafficking happens. That's how people end up disappearing, right? And now I've got her car. You ain't never gonna know. They're never gonna know, right?
Because she came along.
So and so that's the whole point of understanding what's allowable, what's not allowable, right? We over the last few years, we have people starting to point fingers and saying this is not allowable. Right. What's his name from that 70s show? Kutcher has he's stood up in front of Congress several times. He's a big advocate of stopping child trafficking. Too many people. The state of Iowa is the largest state where kids go missing the most.
Isn't Schaumburg like a big hub too?
Could be. No, that I don't know. But so that when are we going to cancel that? When is it going to be okay to say, hey, we really got a problem here, right? So what happens is last year, 2020, we said, hey, we really have a problem here. As far as police brutality and whatnot, right? Oh. And so we decided to react, and we decided to say enough is enough.
Right.
And a lot of people didn't like that. Right.
A lot of people didn't like that.
A lot of people did not like that.
Decided to post stats to continuously try to allow it to happen.
And so has it gotten better is the question. Was that off or not, or has that been canceled? Right. Okay. So and earlier today, that's what I said. I go, it wasn't for naught. Things have changed. People are being held accountable for their actions now. There are more suits for wrongful death and murder from people who murdered people.
Right.
And now the people, there were always things in place. Now it's being enforced. But now the people who were doing that are starting to second guess things and go,
if I do this,
what are the repercussions?
Right.
So it wasn't for naught. Things have changed. Are they changing quickly? No. Is it changing?
No.
Yeah. A little, right? And that's
little by little.
Here we go. But to the point is, why are we going to cancel this because this over here, when this group over here has been screaming it for hundreds of years?
But even in this conversation, why do I want to hear about 50 when 2,500 a day go missing in this area? If we're really for the safety and the betterment of the kids and we're worried about their protection, if we know that maybe 2,000 versus 400,000, why are we continue to acting like this is the problem and we continue to say nothing about this?
Yeah.
Why do when we pop up, we always pop up on this topic, but we never pop up on this topic?
Right.
And if we do post it anywhere else, we've never posted it here.
Right, and that Tobin says, hey man, and that it's supporting your point is it's same race that does the apprehension, and that's what he's saying is hey, FBI stats show majority of people trafficked, are from the same race, right? That
No, sir, that's not accurate at all.
Well, it's I don't know what the FBI stats are, right? So,
okay,
I can't say yes or no to that. What he's saying is it's the same race, so you're going to feel more comfortable. My kids will be more comfortable going someplace with somebody who looks like me, perhaps,
Absolutely.
and looks like you. And if I'm trafficking kids, I'm going to try to get the ones I can get easy.
But if we understand that most kids are trafficked from the suburbs, how are most of them my color?
As he said, Jacksonville, Florida is number one. 87,000 children are reported missing annually. Less than 20% are recovered. Yeah. Woo! There's a lot of kids.
Yeah, I mean, once someone puts the pressure on you,
right.
It's cool to post stats now, but I'm saying as far as what you lead with, you never lead with any other topic other than Chicago, and it's getting old.
So Nate says, my grandpa always talked about the news. He would always say, watch carefully the news, likes to report bad things that happen to good people. You'll never hear them report about solutions to avoid the bad things.
Right.
If bad things stopped happening, they would have no news to report. People only hear what they think is important, unfortunately. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And that's what we're saying. Oh, I didn't pay attention to that rapper until he said something about my group of people. Right? But now the way that it looks is, is that what happens. I got thrown for a minute. Right. So
speaking of cancel culture,
yeah. So the news is we always want to sell the blood. If you bleeds, it leads.
Right. But at the same time, I'm watching like, okay, well, he killed a guy. That's bad.
Right.
He said some harsh things. That's worse.
Right.
It's tough.
That's tough, and that's not fair.
that's tough.
Right. And I didn't read the whole thing, but it was up on the screen so people could catch that. Tobin said, "Hey, can't read the entire post. I separated sex and labor trafficking." So I know I put it up there too. So if you are listening out there, if you're one of the nearly 800,000 people who tune in, check us out on our YouTube. You'll see Tobin's post for sure. But when we work on the cancel culture and why there's an issue is you're never going to have everybody go, absolutely, that shit needs to be canceled.
Right.
Okay. You look at Auschwitz is still a place. My mother-in-law and her mother went over and toured the concentration camps that are still there. Right. And you have a lot of people who are like, that needs to be burnt to the ground. And you have a lot of people like, no. When it comes to cancel culture, you're never gonna have 100% of the people go, yeah,
that's gotta go,
right? And so it's those things that we have to understand is, listen, if you don't like Chappelle or this little guy, whatever his name was, the baby. Don't follow him. Don't listen to him. Don't look. You don't like this show? And a lot of you do, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But you don't like this show? Don't tune in.
You don't have to, bro. You can go
right.
anywhere else.
Right. And so when we talk about cancel culture, just understand one side is going to be always extremely upset, and one is not.
Right.
And then they're going to meet in the middle, both extremely upset, and they're not thinking each other is listening to each other. Right? And so in that cancel culture, why is it okay to move quickly on some things and not on others?
We talked about what makes this country move.
Yep. It's like that social media platform that was unplugged for a while this week. We have to remain divisive. We're a capitalist society.
Right.
You have to remain divisive, right? Now, you had the opportunity this past weekend to be around an incredible group of individuals,
right.
that all are pulling for the same purpose.
Right.
I could say, but not everybody there, and there were tens of thousands of people there, right?
Right.
But not out of those, there were all very differing opinions, differing lifestyles, and differing whatever. But the energy that was there, I'm guessing I wasn't, was incredible.
Right.
Because you were all there for the same purpose.
It was.
Is that fair to say?
It was all there for the same purpose, and it was cool. And that was actually one of the things that was talked about by multiple speakers at the event was this is what the country should look like.
Yeah.
And one person said what it does look like, another person said what it should look like, because we should be more unified. We should be more pulling towards a common cause, whether you are young, old, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever the case may be, male, female, them, they, yours, whatever. We should all be for what makes things improve, period. DR don't matter. Let's get progress.
Right.
And for whatever reason, we'd rather try to progress this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, instead of working this way.
Exactly.
And I don't understand it.
Well, and that's, I mean, there's so many people who have decided to plant their roots in a certain train of thought, perhaps, or a certain belief. You see it in religion all the time, right? I've had, if you come in here, we've got the laughing Buddha over here. Yeah. Which is it's got the electric light that goes on it, so when you touch the little ball he's holding, it's like a shock. It
makes your hair stand up.
And I'm a Christian through and through. I've had Christian people come in here and say, I can't be on the air with you, can you, because you have that
in the room.
And I'm like, well, then I guess you can't be on it. It's just
on
a
statue.
It's a statue of Buddha. I'm not asking you to pray to Buddha. I'm not asking you to rub Buddha's belly. What I'm saying is, it's just a statue, just like this bald guy here. It's just a thing. But if that upsets you that much, then I would question how strong you are in your faith.
I was going to say, if you're intolerable of other religions, then you're not a Christian. Right. But that's just,
right. So yeah, what I would say is, that happens, and in the cancel culture society, is I cannot convert you to believe the way I believe,
right?
But I can have a conversation with you about the way that I believe, and I think where we've come is to a society that tries to convert,
right, versus converse.
Okay. So someone told me that, we know that Candace Owens and the twins are not your favorite people. And someone told me, they said, oh man, Candace Owens is a saint. I said, okay. I said, I want you to hold on for a second. If you have done research on Candace Owens, and you have done everything you possibly can to find out, and even had a conversation with her, I would think that you would probably think she's far from a saint. She's a very intelligent woman. She's well-spoken. She's very educated. But I'm also going to say this. Would she be a saint if she was white? Saying the same thing. The answer is probably no, right? She would be washed out. Nope, there's another one, right? So I said, now, I like listening to Candace Owens, and like I said, I think she's very brilliant, okay? And she is. She's a very brilliant individual. But I think she's far from being a saint, right? So we have to be careful with what we say. Right. But I was able to talk to that person and say, if the only inference you have about Candace is from social media clips, then this conversation will end, right? Because that's like I can watch the highlights of Michael Jordan and say he is the greatest of all time.
You watch the highlights of
when it's the farthest from the truth
of a Woodstock High basketball kid, and like, oh, he's the next LeBron.
Yeah, right. If all you're seeing is the highlights, right? But if we look at statistical, we know that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is
true,
statistically speaking,
right? And we wouldn't try to use stats from a decade ago that are partial stats. We would have to go to updated stats, not 2011. But anyway. Anyway,
We're not canceling Kareem. He's the best of all time.
No, we're not going to cancel Kareem.
Right. So, and I know we're running. Yeah, we got 2 minutes. We're on the backside of this thing. But here's the truth, Ruth, and is next time you think you're offended, and next time you think you're offended, you think you have to cancel something. Take a step back. Take a deep breath. Right. I mean, seriously, and understand this. It's a goddamn comedian laughing. For real.
That's what it is. He literally went on a special saying, I want this to be the holy grail as far as like ground where we can just have fun.
Yeah.
Where you joke on me, I joke on you, and we just know that it's some good, clean, love, and fun craft.
That's it. All right, everybody, stick around right now. Coming right on our heels is the Success Journey podcast with Marlon and Ricky. And thanks for tuning in. We love you guys. Thanks, Tobin. Thanks, Nate. Thanks, everybody who chimed in. Really appreciate and the 800-some thousand people who tune in every week. We're humbled and blessed to get caught in the net and join us on the bridge. If you got questions, feel free to reach out to us at 216thenet@gmail.com. Just put Bridging Civil Tension in the subject, and Phil and I will get back with you as quickly as we can. Until then, everybody have a great weekend.